Hi. We're adjusting. Marie's in front of me. She's like, hmm. So she's right here. So I'm kind of moving things out of her way, as we will, right? You have cats. You're gonna move things out of their way, right? So we're on chapter 13. By the way, no, I'm not a preacher. I'm not preaching anything. I'm just reading the scriptures and sharing thoughts on it. Um, as we do that, you might want to, you know, think about how it is in your land and what you're doing um, and your relationship with the Most High, you know. So we can look at how Abram's is, and we can look at how ours is, and we can look at how our, where we live, our government is, and we look at, maybe the Old Testament government wherever they're at. So they just left Egypt's government, right? So now they're going somewhere else, and we can look at ours too, and we can say now, how are we? What's our similarities? What's different? And what's going on that's the same? And you might even live in a place that looks like this place, you know. Um, Excuse me. She's still moving around now. She's kind of behind the computer. So we'll go on, and here's like a common commentary. Abraham returns from Egypt. He and Lot part. The Lord will make Abram's seed as the dust of the earth in number, and Abram settles in Hebron. I don't know if I said before, but remember when Abraham was traveling? I mean, like 600 miles on foot in the desert with children and babies or whatever they have in their caravan. And they're having to, like, camping 24/7, right? So we, right? It's like camping 24/7, and there's no like outhouses, maybe, or toilets to flush or running water. These women are troopers. They are troopers because there's a lot that women have that's very personal. That and walking pregnant, walking after you just had a baby, so they rest a while and then they go on. But it's really something what troopers these people are. One, and Abraham went out of Egypt, did I say was 600 miles? And then um, to, where did he go to? Let me see what it says again. Um, Abram returns to Egypt. So that was 600, right? And then he goes further, and he goes to Hebron, I think it was. Abram sells it. And that's 100 more miles, I believe it was. Can you believe that? On foot, on rocks. I mean, they didn't have patent leather shoes, and these Western boots or hiking boots like we have now. So you can imagine that while they settle, they're actually doing things like darning shoes, making shoes, doing all the stuff for the next 100 miles on foot, changing babies, and um, men may be looking for, well, they have herds with them. So they can eat from that. They can get milk and from different ways. And typically women, you know, try to think of ways to say things, um, nursed their babies. They didn't use formula. So it was important that women ate well too, but you can just see they were in great shape with all that walking. And it makes sense why you would have the wardrobe that would cover your face and protect your skin from the sand blowing. I lived in a place where when the wind blew, the sand would just cover my face, and I would just go like this, and I could just, I mean, it's just like, wow, that was unbelievable. So it made sense that you would have something to cover with when that sand came through, and a lot of our clothing is conducive with where we live. So here we go. Um, okay, so one, and Abram, sorry, went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. Number two, and Abraham was very rich in cattle, silver, and in gold. That's interesting because he had a lot already. But remember, coming from Genesis 12, 16, and he entreated Abraham well. So the Pharaoh did for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen and asses and men servants and maidservants and she asses and camels and the Lord. So he's doing pretty well here. And so now, it says, and Abram was very rich in cattle, silver, and in gold. Because I think they sent him away with everything, didn't they? Didn't we read that? So, anyway, um, and he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning between Bethel and Hai, Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. So we have altars again, and Lot also, which went with Abram, and flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen and Abram's cattle, and the herdmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite, Perizzite, Perizzite dwelt then in the land. So you have more people in the land too, that they're probably um, have their cattle grazing and everything going on too. And so um, if you have sheep and cattle and goats and everything, you have to move them around to keep the grass growing. You don't want them to eat the roots. You just want them to eat the grass. And it's great because they make great lawnmowers, right? But you want to move them. And so you're going to need more land. You're going to need to leave. And so they might have even had some talks with the Canaanites and the Perizzites, saying, "Hey, you guys need to go. We said it's okay if you stay, but you got to go. You just have so much. You have to go." And so Abram in 8 said unto Lot, "Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, between my herdsman and thy herdsman, for we be brethren." You never know. They might have not had, whatever way that they branded. People now will brand their horses and different, um, their goats, maybe horses. People put licenses on their dogs, whatever. Um, and if they didn't necessarily do that, there could have been some theft going on or some misunderstandings of what belongs to who. 9, is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. If thou depart to the right, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think the plain of Jordan actually means valley of um, the Jordan River. So um, that's that. So Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the, let's say we would say valley of the Jordan River, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. So it is well watered. So he's going, that's very good, right? Okay, if there's water, there's plants growing along the water. And so that sounds like a great idea, because if there's plants, the water usually spreads out. And usually there's a high water table. And so you're going to have lots of water and the animals are going to be able to eat. And they have all these animals and they don't exactly have a sprinkler system coming in, right? So, um, so then Lot in 11 chose him all the plain of Jordan. Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. So you have this, um, the the valley of Jordan River, north reaches out to the Sea of Galilee, and to the south the Dead Sea. So this is a vast area of water. Um, 12. Abraham dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. So it says, Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain. So he's gone down to Sodom. He might be saying, okay, this is where my animals are going to forage or whatever, graze. But he pitches his tent right there towards Sodom. And if you think about the worst city in the world, where the most terrible things are going on, and it's so bad that God's getting ready to destroy it, and then you just decide you're going to put your tent right there amongst those people, and all your kids and your grandkids and your siblings and your spouse, and everyone's going to be hanging out in that city. And chances are they're going to learn to love things about that city. They're going to make good friends in that city that's going to influence them to be more like that city. Sounds like that. We don't know, but maybe Lot had a little bit of that interest. Maybe he thought, well, there's going to be a lot of business people there, but you have to remember those businessmen are really corrupt, and to learn to do business with corrupt men, he didn't need to. They have traveled 600 miles on foot, and they didn't need any business deals with people, probably. I mean, they probably ran across traders along the way, and I mean people that traders, for trade, saying, oh, well, how about, bargained and bartered and did some business that way. But he didn't need that city. He didn't need it. But he decides he's going to pitch his tent and dwell in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. I mean, he could have even pitched his tent the other way, but would you really want to? Wouldn't you want to see if anyone from Sodom was approaching you? It seems like he would be way back offish, off from that place, to give a long space so that they keep their contact. Because one thing about a lot of the cultures in that time was they didn't want to interbreed with anyone else. So they didn't want their families to fall for any other race, or mainly because a different race would be a different religion. And they wanted everyone to be cohesive and to believe in the same things. That creates harmony. And if you believe your God is the God, and you want to return back to your God, and you want people to be happier on earth, and he's greater and he can bless you and do all this, then you don't want someone else to be fooled by the ways of Sodom, so to speak, and then change your ways, and then your posterity is doing all these evil things and being exposed to evil things, and becoming a part of these people and everything. And so that's the main reason, and so it's it's a toughie. So 13, but the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him. And the Lord, I'm going to read that again. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him. Lift up thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall they also be numbered. 17, arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, and I will give it unto thee. And then Abraham removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, M-A-M-R-E, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. So it's interesting, because you hear that Abraham was very faithful. He's not concerned. He's not worried. Well, he might be concerned, because you're only human. But he always builds an altar to the Lord. He always keeps his communication to the Lord. And so he trusts in the Lord that wherever he's at, he's going to be okay. But it's interesting that you don't hear Lot building anything like that. Instead, he faces tent towards um, Sodom. And so that's a huge hint. That's a huge hint about what's to come, right, for him. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Anyway, thanks for being here. And if you have any questions or comments, someone in the comments might be able to answer you. If I see them, I will try and answer to you if I see them. So, but others might see them before me and they may have comments. And please keep the comments clean. Don't argue with each other. If you have an opinion, just make sure you put opinion. If it's more than opinion, then you can even put your verse, the scripture. It could be a different book than the Old Testament. Um, but don't fight with each other at all. Just state what you believe and what you might have sources on. Okay? Well, it should be fun. It's getting even more interesting. Well, I guess it's always been interesting. I mean, creating the world's pretty interesting, right? And so, have a good night. See ya. Thanks for being here with us. And we'll join you again in Genesis 14.